Hello everyone, my name is Danny and this is the Stock Car Surplus YouTube channel. Today we're going to pull the cover off my 2023 track day project. I'm going to show you what it is, give you some insights to this car's unique history, and a build plan going forward from here. So let's get started. Let's pull the cover off this thing and I'll show you what we're working with. This is my Nascar Xfinity Series composite body Toyota Supra. I'll give you a walk around and show you what we're working with. Let's get started with a quick walk around. First thing we're going to go over is the body on this car. This is a composite body flange fit NASCAR Xfinity Series Supra. The only thing that makes this car a Supra compared to a Chevrolet Camaro or a Ford Mustang is the hood, which is manufacturer specific, the upper nose portion, which is also manufacturer specific. The fenders are manufacturer specific as well. And the rear bumper cover is a manufacturer specific piece. The Toyota is the only one with the rear reveal cut for the taillights like this. Everything else on these bodies is a common piece. They all carry a common decal like this with a serial number and a work order number on it, and they come from 5-star. Each body panel has one of those decals affixed on it somewhere. The rear deck lid, the quarter panels, the greenhouse, rear window, quarter windows, windshield, roof flaps, escape hatch, doors, and the lower portion of the front nose are all common pieces that every team runs. Doesn't matter if it's a Ford, Chevrolet, or a Toyota. The hood as well also has manufacturer specific hood flaps, cowl flaps on it. All right, let me give you a walk around and I'll show you everything I can about this car. So it is a TRD chassis. It has a mock-up motor in it. This is a phase 11 Toyota. There are no internals in it from what I can tell, and it spins over by hand. It does have Brembo brake calipers on it, and it does have a matched set of 8-degree spindles. The lower control arms appear to be the same left and right. So I'm not sure if this was a super speedway or a road course car, but we'll find out as we go along. This car does not have any steel brake lines in it, and the brake pedal assembly is missing out of it. But it does have a cannon plug on the dash and all the accessory lines wrapped up under the dash. So I do know that it ran at one time. I was told by a few people that it originally started as a TRD car, and it was probably one of the first black striped Toyota coming in 2007 cars that was either tested by Michael Waltrip or Jeremy Mayfield. And I've seen pictures of both of those cars. But it does have a mock-up motor in it. As you can see from the back of the engine, there's a tag right there, MU14-27. So that tells me it is a mock-up. Did it run? Probably. Most of your mock-up motors are either cycled out parts. I have bought some that were pretty good engines. Actually just needed valve springs and a belt put on them, and they ran perfectly fine. This car, the body is on one of the first Toyota Gen 5 COT chassis. The chassis number on this car is CT006. It does have the fire bottles, fuel line. The entire dash is there, all the ignition components, all of the gauges and wiring are there, all the switches are in it, and everything for the transducers is wrapped up and cable tied up underneath the dash. I stuck my seat in it, see how it fit in the seat rails. It actually fits pretty good. There is a Peterson oil tank in it, no gear cooler. There is a fuel line conduit, but no fuel line. It does have Brembo brakes on the rear as well. This car has a bunch of different labels stuck all over it, little bitty tags. I can see where The track bar mount says RC, and it's a road course revision 3. The decals on the drive shaft tunnel, the hard tunnel, lead me to believe one of MWR's test chassis. It does have an MWR and a Toyota decal on it. And the bottom half of the hard tunnel said wind tunnel test on it as well. It does have equal length truck arms in it. There is no fuel cell in it, but as you can see, it's all clean. The fuel cell cage is in it. There are some openings for where the fuel cell and fuel line go. There's a filter mount there. You can see the fire bottle suppression line in the back. The entire body has all of the 5-star composite body tags on it. Got the fuel filler on the left side. Here you can see the Peterson oil tank and the battery box. And the other thing I was talking about is you can see how it has another tag on it. ST option 2, so there's a short track option housing. Just about every single shock on it has a sticker on it that says transport only. This is something I do as well. I've got a couple sets of these old AFCO welded bearing street stock style shocks. Whenever I take my truck to the track or whenever I transport it. Put a set of transport shocks on it, take care of the stuff you race with. There's some more video of the dash. It does have a throttle pedal in it, but like I said, there are no brake pedals or clutch pedals in it. I'm going to change the floor pan, going to put a different isolator in the bottom and insulate it. It's going to get a set of leg braces. Got to put a vent line going from the top of the oil tank where it's covered off out the back with a breather tank for the dry sump system. Some other information that's stuck on this car. It says TRD body approval submission, wind tunnel test, NASCAR R&D center. So this car has lived its whole life as an R&D test and submission car. I've seen photos of it with a white body on it at the R&D center. I've seen photos of it with the original Gen 5 COT splitter on the front, the COT waterfall. I have photos of it when it was converted into a NASCAR Nationwide Series Camry, and the body was cut completely off of this car. It had a burgundy Camry body on it, and the gentleman that actually hung this body on this car gave me the original hood and the deck lid that he took off of it that came from that body. So I have those body pieces as well. So it's going to be a very fun track day build. This engine's going to come out completely. All the suspension's going to come off of it. All the calipers are going to come off of it. It's going to get a different radiator with a built-in oil cooler. I have a couple of engines under the bench here. I have some more over my storage building. It's going to get a phase 11 to replace this one that's in there. The motor I have, I'm thinking I'm going to go with one that's 812 horsepower is one that I have, just over 800. Not going to go with a 390. That is a good 390 that's on it. I am going to go with an 830. It's going to get a set of Bilstein road course valve shocks. I am going to redo this ignition panel. This is kind of the older stuff. All that's going to come out. It's going to get one ignition box with a built-in rev limiter, one HVC coil. Going to eliminate a lot of this wiring. Going to lighten it up. These fire bottles, I will mount both of them down here on the lower rail. Give it some more right side bias. I will use that fuel line conduit. I will change that gear cooler duct, the one that's in it. I don't like that setup. I'm going to put a little bit larger one in it because it's going to have stacked coolers in it. I plan on running a GSR, G-force transmission. So that's going to go in there with a stacked cooler underneath in the rear. We're going to do that. The exhaust system, I like the oval exhaust that's on it now. It has a full exhaust. Front to back, everything is oval. Front to rear, and it's flanged with a set of profab headers. I'm not going to use those headers. I have a better set of profabs, and I also have a set that came from Gibbs. It does have a CNR transmission in it. I don't know if there's any gearing in it or not. It may just be a mock-up case as well. I have bought mock-up transmissions and cases that did have all the gears in them, and I was able to use them. They were good pieces, but that is the plan so far for this car. We're going to start breaking it down. I'm going to videotape everything I can. I'm going to work on it in the evenings when I'm not doing other work. and we'll go from there. So let's get into everyone's favorite topic when it comes to old stock cars: history. What I've been able to document from several people that have worked on this car and know what this car is for the past 10 to 12 years. The things I've been able to find out is this is one of Toyota's earliest COT Gen 5 chassis. Originally, this was the black MWR COT test car. Had red stripes on it, had Burger King, UPS logos down the side, and it said coming in 2007 on the rear tail panel. Nobody's been able to document, yes, this is that chassis number. The only thing that leads me to believe it's that car is for some reason there's an MWR decal and a Toyota decal on the hard tunnel underneath the car. I don't know who would put that there other than MWR. It also says wind tunnel test there. I do know from several people that have worked on this car that it has been through the wind tunnel multiple times with multiple bodies on it. The first hard documentation that I know and that I can find on this car is that it was a body approval car that sat at the NASCAR R&D Center. The first picture I have of this car with a body on it shows a white COT body with a Toyota logo on the hood and the black Toyota oval on the hood. From that point, it had the original COT big splitter down on the bottom. And sometime around 2009, 2010, when NASCAR teams were going from the tuner spoiler on the rear to the actual deck lid mounted spoiler instead of a wing, the body was changed to a lower waterfall type body. I don't know what happened to the first car, or if this is that same car with a different body on it, because at the same time another car was built. That car had a very first generation NASCAR Nationwide Series body put on it. I don't know who put that body on it, but I know who cut that body off of it. I believe that body was put on the car by Joe Gibbs, but I cannot confirm that. I do know the body that was on it was the first generation Camry for the Nationwide Series. Now, there were two versions of the Camry for the Nationwide Series. It got changed in 2015. That ran to 2018 and was actually the first version of Toyota's composite body. That very first year of the composite body was 2018, and in 2019 it went to the Supra. So I know it had that Nationwide body on it, and I know the people that cut the body off of it. I have the original hood, and I have the original deck lid that came off of that car, and I have pictures of it in its burgundy paint. From that point on, it went to the wind tunnel and got tested as that steel-bodied Camry car. Somewhere around 2018, another car was built, but from what I understand, Joe Gibbs owned that car, and it was the first composite body Camry. There are photos of that car that show it half wrapped. On the right side, it says Xfinity. The hood is split with the wrap. It says Xfinity on that side, and on the left side, the body is still a Camry, but it's complete gray gel coat. I know that car is not this car because that car went back to Joe Gibbs. They built this car out of that burgundy car. The person built the car and who does a lot of work for ARCA teams and NASCAR Xfinity teams provided me with documentation and photos cutting the body off of that car, pulling it completely off, and mounting this composite Supra body on it. So I've been able to backtrace and backstep several steps of what this car looked like. From the composite body Supra, to the steel body Nationwide car, to the first generation of the steel body Nationwide car, to what I believe was the second version of the white COT. The entire time it's been owned by TRD since then. It's been at the R&D Center. It's the only place it's gone is the R&D Center, body hangers, wind tunnel, and just kind of made that circle. I'm excited to build it. I'm excited to have it in my collection, and I look forward to showing you more. So that's going to come in the next video. Tear down, brake lines, and we're going to make a list moving forward. So stay tuned.